Friends, there's so many legends, stories, tales, folklore of these mountains that our elders have told us over the years. Some of them have some truth in them, and some are just myth. Now these old Appalachians, they're so endless, they seem like, so beautiful, so vast. And the endless forest in them, the beautiful timber, the landscape, and all the wildlife. And the beautiful little creek that comes out of these hollows. Such beautiful and peaceful places. But when the sun goes down, in some places, the mood seems to change. Now there's a lot of places in these old mountains that you just get a feeling that something's not right. And something's there that shouldn't be there. And one such a place is Willow Hollow. This old story comes from my grandmother on my dad's side. A story of an old witch tale on the Cumberland Plateau country, down here in the western part of East Tennessee. Beautiful farmland like this, so serene and peaceful. People working hard just trying to scrape out a living in these old mountains. And this happened around before the 1900s, just before. And it lived in places like this, just poor mountain people trying to make a living, raise a family. Old homes like this, from way back from their fathers, before the Civil War, come in this country. And this happened up an old holler they called Willow Hollow. Goes across the mountain. Here's a trail that went across the gap. And people wouldn't take it much, because when they went up this holler, on the right fork of it, if you started up that hollow, they would find bones hanging in the trees. All kinds of just animal bones, all up and down it. And they was warned not to ever go up this hollow. They would be sudden storms all at once come out of nowhere, just for no reason at all. And they would hear strange beast sounds. People just wouldn't go up there. Now this old woman lived up this holler they claimed was a witch. And she must have been an old person, because I was told that the people at that time, the old people, said that when they was little, they remember her being in them mountains up in that cabin. A long time. So they don't know how old she was, but she wanted nobody on her land. They'd say that she would conjure up curses on people, but they never could prove nothing. And there's been a rumor too that she could change into animals and run these mountains. They never could prove that either, but there was something going on that the local people just wouldn't fool with her. They just don't go on her land. Nobody. And she had an old dog that barked at anything or anybody that come around, and that would give her a sign. So she never would want nobody on her land whatsoever for no reason. And she'd only come down to the little community store about once or twice a year to get some salt or flour or something like that. And somebody said that people tried to approach her about logging on her land. And she'd say, "Oh, no, you'll never log my land. I don't want nobody on it, and you'll never make me leave this land, ever." So she wanted nobody there. But anyway, the old guys like to hunt around here. They like to eat wild game. And the young boys, they sure wouldn't go down that holler. Ain't no way. Now these people back then, and today too, they take pride in their hunting dogs. I mean, really took pride in it. And they done some good hunting. These dogs would have taken bear, anything. But they just wouldn't let them go up that holler if they possibly could do it. But sometimes they accidentally did. And these old hunters, these were just old mountain men, growed up in these mountains. And they knowed how to hunt and what was in them too. Well, as time went on, there was a local guy here that had a friend that had some really good hunting dogs. He wanted to train the other dogs. So they come in here to do some really good hunting. And on one night, a full moon, late in the summer, they was going to train these dogs. So they headed back in these old mountains, see what they can do. It was a good night, moon looking good. And they was going to let the dogs run. Well, pretty soon one hit. Well, pretty soon they all hit. And they was running across the top of this ridge. They was right after it. And they was really excited too. But they was forgetting where they was at. Where they was at on this mountain top. They was crossing down over the wrong ridge. And them old dogs had got on an old fox here. They thought was a fox. And they was on it hot and heavy. They run it plumb to the cabin where they shouldn't have been. And they know they'd made a mistake right then. They were scared and to get these dogs to shut up. Well, about that time, the old woman come to the door. All they could see was her face. She said, "What are you doing here? You know you're not supposed to be on my land. I curse all of you. Your dogs will be dead within the day. You know better. If you come back again, you will all die." Well, that scared them all to death. She just disappeared. And they know they was in trouble. So they gathered up their dogs and got off of that ridge, that holler, as quick as they could get out of there. Well, sure enough, within 2 days, all them dogs that was there at that cabin, they had died mysteriously. Just died. Well, they knowed what that was. And the men that had hunted on that trip, they dreamed all night of her laughing at them in their sleep. Dreamed. Well, they know they'd made a mistake. Well, it tormented them for a while, but they slowly got over it. And the community passed this around. Nobody went up that holler. I mean, absolutely nobody. But as time went on, a few years, they say, they noticed that her old dog was down here around the store. And they've never seen him down there before. And he was whimpering around and under the steps, whining and crying. And they didn't know, they knowed something was wrong. That dog would never come down here. Well, they didn't want to go up there. But about a half a dozen or so men of the community got together in the daytime and went up to that cabin. And there they found her, dead in the floor. No apparent reason, I guess just old age. I mean, she was old. They found papers in there that said dated back in the 1700s. Well, that made her over 120 years old. Well, they buried her, wrapped her up in a blanket, and buried her up on the side of the hill there above the cabin. This is the stone, they say. And that night, that evening, they burnt everything she had. Outhouse, in-house, around the house, all of her belongings, all of them. They thought they could hear her laughing. As them flames was a crackle. That scared them. Well, time went on. Nobody would go back up there. This is many years later, I've been told. This is what she looked like, nothing but a chimney. Everything just grown up. Nobody would go up there. But, as fate would have it, people would decide to hunt. Here's what they would see, they'd say. the next generation. Somebody on the trail like an old woman in white just disappeared. That scare everybody to death. They know what their parents have told them. They know. But they'd even be hunting around the ridge, not really on the land. Back in these woods hunting at night, and they would come across stuff like this. Hear sounds. Look up in the woods. Something in white moving down towards you. I would say that would be a scary sight, moving between these trees. They say the dogs would not go up in them anymore. They would just whimper away. And I can't blame them. Well, there's the story. I hope you enjoy these little old stories of our mountains. Just old myths, old legends. But anyway, I want to thank you for watching. God bless, and I'll see you next time.